Jai Masters. There's two ways to live life. One is to allow the natural tendency to not be okay. Animals aren't okay. They run away all the time. They're scared. It's not just a human thing. We inherited it from our physiology all the way through evolution. Everything is scared. Everything is protective. Everything is trying to survive. When we grew enough as humans to be able to more easily, not everyone, but more easily survive, it became an ego thing. It moved up from the first and second chakras to the third. And survival meant acceptance. Survival means non-rejection. Everybody is afraid of being rejected. Just like the body, when it's challenged, in lions and tigers stuff, it throws up fear. I don't care who you are. It's how it evolved. That fear has now passed on to social acceptance. I have to prove myself. I have to be successful. I can't be rejected. I have to be loved. I can't be abandoned. All of that is inside of you. Maybe you've noticed. I wonder if you've noticed. The stronger the front they put on, the more fear they have inside. Do you ever find yourself defensive? Of what? There are no lions, tigers jumping on you? But you're always defensive. The minute anybody says anything, bam, comes forward, doesn't it? Okay? Pay attention. That's what's going on in there. If you don't pay attention to that, you will spend your life attempting to compensate for it. In other words, it's there, but I don't want to feel it. So if I'm rich enough, if I'm popular enough, if people applaud when I do well, if I drive a nice car, if I live in a nice house, if I'm popular, I don't have to live in that. I've compensated for it with a shield, if you will. What happens if somebody doesn't like you? You don't like them. You justify it. Oh, they don't know what they're talking about. Look at everybody else. I'm telling you, if you're not careful, and you're not, nor is anybody else, you won't realize you're devoting your life to avoiding that which is inside. It's still there. It's still there. You just keep pushing it away by creating an outside that makes you not deal with it, or creating an inside that makes you not deal with it. So you spend your entire life avoiding what is not going to go away. It's still there. People that are very, very successful are afraid to die. Why? People have bucket lists. Those are my favorites. What is a bucket list? I'm not okay. I've always not been okay. But if these things happen before I die, I'm going to be better. People talk about desires and preferences. The deep teachings don't tell you to renounce. They don't tell you to deny. The deep teachings say, why do you have desires? Not, you shouldn't have desires. That's not true that you shouldn't have desires. If there are desires, there's a reason you have desires. If you have preferences, there's a reason you have preferences. Deep spiritual teachings don't sit there and say, ignore the reason and ignore the effect it has. They say, look inside and see, why do you have desires? And don't tell me they're natural. They're not natural. Preferences and desires are not natural. Your natural state is one of absolute well-being. Self-effulgent. You're whole and complete within yourself. Just feel wonderful. No desires. No desires. No fears. Not psychological. I'm not talking about physiological. Okay? You need to eat. You need to stay dry. Some basic stuff. But psychologically, you need nothing. I don't know what they're selling you. It's because they don't know what they're talking about. You talk to the great masters. Talk to people who worked on themselves enough and found out, as Yogananda said, there's a river of joy that flows inside of you all the time. Not conditional, not relative. A permanent state of uplifting Shakti, of uplifting spirit, feeding you, flowing inside. There are no desires. There are no desires. There are no needs. I don't know what to talk about. Not enough people have experienced it, and so instead they're teaching you, even though you're not okay, how to cope, how to be better, how to feel a little bit better at night, how to live with yourself, all right? No, that's not enough. You should be filled with joy all the time, no matter what happens. Well, I can't do that. Of course you can't do that. Why? Because there's something inside of you that's not okay. And that something is driving you out to conditionally manipulate and control people, places, and things so that you can feel better. Anybody deny that? What they don't teach you is it doesn't have to be that way. If you deal with the part of you that's not okay, you can change every single thing inside of you by working at the root, not by working how to compensate that you're not okay, how to be okay. It's a whole different ballgame. I'll bet no one ever told you could be okay all the time. Well, what if something terrible happens? During the moments that something terrible is happening, it's difficult. But I guarantee you, it did not keep happening your entire life. In fact, the worse it is, the shorter the time frame. Somebody died. This happened, that happened. So it's a short event, but you keep it inside yourself because you couldn't handle it. And that's what makes it last long. So you can handle anything if you learn how to. And so events do happen. Nobody said everything is rosy. No, things happen. But you can handle them. That's the difference. You learn not to compensate, complain, and try to change things so you don't have to deal with the fact that they bothered you, but instead deal with the fact that they bothered you until they don't bother you. That's the bottom line. And I like saying it with gusto. Everyone is capable of being unconditionally, completely okay all the time. Everyone. They don't believe that. I don't blame them for not believing it. Nobody set the example. Nobody told them it could be that way. And opposite, everyone's telling them, all your advertisement, everything, your parents, your teacher, every single thing is telling you, in order to be okay, you have to succeed. You have to get things. You have to win. You have to get people to like you. You have to get a relationship that somebody's always true to you, and so on. And I'm a terrible person living in the woods saying why. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with relationship. There's nothing wrong with business. There's nothing wrong with anything. If you're doing it because you're having fun, and why not express the beauty I feel inside myself? Not I'm doing it because I'm not okay, and that's supposed to make me be okay. I'm going to work 5 days a week hating the job I'm in so I can have a weekend. Good, mazel tov, congratulations. Okay? I told you. The true state of work is as follows. You are so enthused and so excited to go to your job every single morning, and then when Friday comes and they give you a paycheck, you don't understand why. They're paying me? It's like paying someone good. We love, okay, I'll pay you. Right? That's ridiculous. So basically, first you understand you do not have to live a life. It takes work not to. We'll talk about that. But you do not have to live a life where deep inside, in the quiet recesses of your soul, you're not okay. And you're afraid. You better look good. You better not sneeze. You better not do that. You better not have someone look at you weird. You better watch out. You better not shout. You better not cry. I'm telling you why. People are looking. It does not have to be like that. Period. That is not your natural state. So you have a choice. There's two lives you can live. One is ignore that is in there like that and try to compensate. You don't have to feel it. Right? Run away from it, in essence. Try to create situations outside where you can run away from yourself. And if you do well, you feel somewhat better. But then you have to keep it that way. The other life, which is the true spiritual life, is to sit there and say, do I really believe that I was created not okay? That my consciousness got stuck in here as a joke, a bad joke that God played on me. It's a mess in here, and I got to figure out a way to be relatively okay sometimes. Whatever, this is tough, okay? There. No, you understand if there's something wrong in here, I can fix it. When your car's broken, you fix it. You don't throw it away. When your body's broken, I told you once, here, wake up in the morning, pay attention now, wake up in the morning, and your arm is going up and down by itself. Hello, what? Stop. It won't stop. It's doing this, right? I know what you do. Become a painter. Or, no, you do not do that. You go to a doctor, don't you? Why? Because it's not supposed to be doing that, and you know it doesn't have to do that. There's a reason it's doing that. We need to find the reason. It's exactly the same inside you psychologically. If you're scared and insecure and self-conscious, all that kind of stuff, that's just like your arm going up and down by itself. You don't sit there and say, okay, I'll build a life around that. Because everybody builds their life around that. What do I need in order to be okay? Who's ever said that? What do I need in order to be okay? Everybody says that. What do I need to be okay? What do I need to avoid to not be okay? How do I get what I need to be okay? And how do I make sure I don't get what I don't want? How's that for the truth table of what your life's based on? It does not have to be that way. And what people call a paradigm shift is, yes, years ago I decided I need this to be okay, but I've had an entire paradigm shift. I realize I need this to be okay. That's not a paradigm shift. You're doing the exact same thing. I thought I loved him. Now we're getting divorced because I love him. It's the same, right? Why are you getting a divorce? It just didn't make me okay. Who is supposed to make you okay when you're out there making yourself not okay? He was. He signed the license. It's supposed to make me okay. For a while he made me okay, but then it got boring. I just didn't do it anymore. So the paradigm shift is where you're no longer saying, what do I need in order to be okay? Cry. This is the essence of spirituality. You're not ever saying, what do I need in order to be okay? You're saying, why am I not okay? One drives you out, the other drives you in. One works at the leaves that you constantly have to keep working on, the other works at the root. If you work at the root, you can get somewhere. If you work on the leaves, it's temporary, isn't it? Come on. Have you ever said, if I get this, I'll be okay? For how long were you okay? When was the last time you got what you wanted and never wanted anything else? No one ever did. You can't solve the problem, right? If your arm is doing this and you get a brace that holds it for a while, okay, that's not solving the problem. It's compensating, suppressing. It's the same thing with your psyche. If you feel lonely, there's something wrong. That's not a natural state. And I can tell you what's wrong. You can learn what's going on in there. Everything is explainable. So if you're lonely, the answer is not to find somebody. There's nothing wrong with finding somebody. That's not the point. The point is, if you're not okay and you're trying to find somebody, you and they have a problem. Because you're going to be clingy, and you're going to be grabby, and you're going to get jealous, and you're going to get insecure, because it was based on need. What if you felt love, and you met somebody and it was just tremendous love? That's different. It's based on the fact that you're filled with love and you're sharing the love. That's great. I guarantee you, if you're filled with love as you enter the relationship, you were filled with it before, you're filled with it in, if they were to leave you, you'd be okay. That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Doesn't mean you don't go through something, but you'll be okay. Because your foundation was not, I'm building my life on top of you. I'm building my life on you. You're the rock of my life. Well, you're in trouble because they can die, they can leave, they can not stop liking you, you can stop liking them. You can get totally lost, can't you? It doesn't work that way. You have to look and see, why do you need a relationship? Why do you need to be popular? Why? And what's going to happen is you're going to look in there and you can raise your hand and say, because I'm a mess. If I don't have these things, my heart hurts. If I don't have these things, my mind drives me crazy. If 50 people love me and one doesn't, that's all I think about is the one that doesn't. Why? Because you're not okay. And you're using the people to try to compensate for you're not okay. But if anything touches deeper, it's gone. So how, if it's true that you're capable of always being okay, being able to handle the different situations that happen in life, and more find joy in the different simple things that happen in life. Like what? Like the fact that you're sitting on a planet spinning in the middle of nowhere, and it's kind of nice compared to Mars, or Jupiter, or Saturn, or Mercury. It rains on Venus, hydrochloric acid. You got it rough here, don't you? You get to the point, I'd like to take you there, where you realize, wait a minute, I don't have a problem in the world. I'm on the nicest little piece of dirt that anyone ever found. The James Webb Telescope is out there looking as far away, at 13 billion light years, all right? And the Hubble did too. They have not found anything that would hold, forget a candle, a flicker to the planet Earth. Have they? Not an amoeba, not anything. Oh, look, there's flaming fires and big explosions and black holes. Oh, let's go there. No, I don't think so. What do you have when you wake up? Colors and sound. Birdies singing to you that you don't have to pay for the concert. You have sunsets. You have every single thing. Animals, everything. Oh, my God. This is how you be okay. Why? By not just accepting the fact that you're not okay, and we'll talk about how it got that way, that you're not okay, and all you can do is beg and steal and do whatever you can to try to be okay. You can sit there and look at things differently. I would highly advise that you periodically, like 7,000 times a day, remember you're sitting on a little planet spinning in the middle of nowheres. Total black, empty space. Nothing anywhere near it. The sun's 93 million miles away. That's a long ways away. And the next star is 4.2 light years away. The other day I read that a light year is approximately, I'm rounding a little bit, 6 trillion miles. That means the next star is 25 trillion miles away. Have fun. Somebody asked, the reason I saw it, somebody asked the question, my Voyager 2 has left the solar system. It's traveling the fastest out there. It's traveling 36,000 miles an hour. 36,000 miles an hour. At that speed, it would take 76,000 years to get to the next star. What's in between? Nothing. They have a name for it. Interstellar space. And you are circling one of those stars on a piece of dirt that I told you, I say to you over and over again, 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun. But you didn't know that unless I told it to you. 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun. And the sun's nearest neighbor is 25 trillion miles away. There's nothing in between. And there's 300 billion stars in your galaxy. You don't have any problems. You can't possibly have any problems. Any problem you're having, you're causing yourself. Somebody walks by and says, I don't like you. I hate you. It's not a problem until you make it a problem. They walk by, and I always tell you, you think you can't handle that? Make believe they talked a language that you don't understand. Said the same thing. No. How you doing? I'm fine. Say it again, man. You're the one that decided to get freaked out because of a sound you heard. They are just sounds being made out of somebody's vocal cords. It can make all kinds of sounds, and you're freaking out over the sound that came out of somebody's mouth. You don't have to, do you? It is something you are doing inside because you're not okay. And so you're looking for things to be okay. You're looking for things to protect yourself and so on and so forth. So how does one work with oneself? That's the biggest step. Remember, I'm going back to where I started. There's 2 lives you can live. One is what needs to happen outside so I can be better inside. People, places, things, my boss, my co-workers, my body, every single thing, the politics, every single thing. What needs to happen outside so I can be okay? And what needs to not happen outside so that I'm not worse? And that's as far as you get. That's as far as most people get. That's all they see. Okay? And no one's ever been okay that way. Not the richest people, not the most beautiful people, not the most handsome people, not the most successful people. Hollywood's full of divorces and drugs, and like they're the most popular people, the richest people. Okay? Wake up. The alternative to that, which is the that, how do I get the outside to be a way that when it unfolds in front of me, it makes me feel better and not worse? Who wants to deny? That's what everybody's doing. And that's why there's so much friction. People say, well, why are there so many wars? Because everybody needs it to be the way they need it to be, and nobody agrees. You can make a coalition if you want. You see they fall apart all the time, don't they? Everybody has their own concept and view of how the outside passing in front of them needs to be so they feel better, not worse. Well, no wonder there's so much conflict. There's a formula for conflict, because we don't agree. Fair enough? The only way it's going to change is when you live the second life. If enough people live the second life, which is what? Not what needs to happen in front of me for me to be okay. Why am I not okay? Why is my starting position, I am not okay? And that is what yoga is about. That is what spirituality is about. It's constantly living your life based upon the fact that you're exploring. You're going to understand meditation is entering the portal of soul research. You're going inside, looking, and saying, wow, that's a mess. That's sensitive. That took that personal. That's being you're just seeing. Don't do anything about it. You start by seeing, and then you ask yourself, can I be okay when it's like that inside? Really, honestly, no matter how you get it. Can I actually be okay when it's that much of a mess inside? Do you see it's a mess inside? Do you see it's always been a mess inside? Kindergarten, I was like high school. That's when it's really starting to express its mess. It clicks and cold shouldering people and all kinds of stupid stuff. And so basically you look at it and you just finally say, it's not anybody else, it's me. I'm not okay. If I'm not okay, if your arm is so sensitive that anything touches it, bothers you, you're going to be bothered. I do that in the Untethered Soul. We got a thorn. They build this whole apparatus around themselves so nothing touches the thorn. Fine, go deal with the stupid apparatus for the rest of your life. Right? You're limiting your life based on the lowest part of your being. So you finally get to the point, I hope you're there, where you said, I don't want to live with this mess inside of me. Why do I have to live with this mess inside of me? And then make everybody else dependent upon doing what I need them to be okay. You yell at them if they don't, all right? Why can't I work with this? And so then you find out you can work with it. And what happens if you work with it? It changes, period. Instantaneously? No, of course not. It's been in there a long time. The first step is to say, I want to devote my life, not the next weekend. I want to devote my life to cleaning up in there so that it can be okay in there. And what do we clean it? What's it got to do with cleaning up? All right, let's get it down. Why is it not okay in there? Were you created in a way that when you were pushed down into this body, the consciousness was pushed down into this body, you're not okay. It was not okay. That's what's there. No. What happens is when you drop into the body, when your consciousness, I don't want to talk about souls or Atman, just consciousness. When your consciousness is in a body, it is receiving all the noise from the senses, all five senses, constantly coming in. Sight, sound, taste, touch, this, that. They're coming into your being. You're inside. You're not outside. It all comes in. That's why you have a nervous system. That's why you have senses. You call them senses. I'm a computer guy. I call them sensors. Are they not sensors? Exactly the same as a computer has sensors. What does a sensor do? It's sensitive to light, vibrations of light, sound, etc. The vibrations come in, it picks them up. That is exactly what your sensors are doing. In a computer, they're wired to come back to the CPU eventually, and then it can deal with it, it can make decisions, and so on, right? Exactly. Your wiring is your nervous system. What is your nervous system? It is attached to your senses, and it is receiving messages from the outside, passing them up through the brain to your consciousness. The brain is a central processing unit. The consciousness is aware inside of what has been passed up. I can't help myself. You do understand you're not looking at me right now. You are not looking out through your eyes at me. You are sitting inside looking at the image that passed from your senses up through your nervous system and rendered in your mind. You are sitting in there looking at that. Just like when you watch a ball game in San Francisco, sitting in Florida and you watch your TV, you're not in San Francisco. And you're not looking at the ball game in San Francisco. It is picking it up in the cameras, it's transmitting. Your TV picks up the signal and renders it on the TV. You're not looking at the ball game, but you think you are. It's exactly the same. You are not looking at me. What's happening is light is bouncing off of the atoms that make up mine or your bodies and the walls and everything. Light bounces off of those. Why? Because they're dense enough to reflect light. And your eyes are picking up that reflected light. That's all that's happening. And same thing with sound, same thing with everything. So you're sitting in here. There are no problems. There are no problems. There's just the experience of having senses on a planet that things are going on, all right? And it comes back in, and you're sitting in there to experience it in your mind. So basically, you're sitting in here, and if you have problems, you are causing the problems. Events are happening outside. Things happen because of cause and effect. Everything that ever happened comes together in the moment in front of you. That's how it got there. Hey, were we scientists? Is it true or not what I just said? Is that true that it's raining because it's your birthday and God doesn't like you? I'm sorry. It's raining because of El Nino and La Nina and because of the wind that blew from Spain 2 weeks ago, global warming and this and that and everything that ever happened. It had nothing to do with your birthday. It never had to do with your birthday. Go study meteorology and show me the part where in the index says birthday. But you say it. Why does it rain on the weekend? Why does it rain on my day off? You do it, don't you? So basically, how did it get messy inside? That's how. The events unfolded in front of you. Why? In the new book, Living Untethered, my favorite parts of that book. I don't like to tell a story, so I want you to read the book, right? Because it's a big story. And it goes like this. You tell me if I'm wrong. If your great-great-great-great-grandmother did not meet your great-great-great-great-grandfather, you're not here. Everything's like that. Every single thing that ever happened through time and space interacted together to create what is. It has nothing to do with you, does it? Yeah. Did you have some influence? You might have. Okay? Yeah, you burped and somebody started yelling at you. Compared to what made that person yell at you has nothing to do with what you did. It has to do with what mommy did to them and what experiences they had and what happened 5 minutes ago, whether they got a stomach ache, whether their wife left them 2 hours ago. Every single thing that ever happened, why that person is standing there yelling. It is not personal. Nothing is personal. It is just the result of all the forces of creation from the beginning of time coalescing together to create every moment there is everywhere, and you just happen to be standing in front of that moment. I told you want to grow spiritually? If you're standing there and somebody's yelling at you, they're not yelling at you. You just happen to be standing at a spot on the planet Earth where somebody's yelling. This is spirituality. You want to have a nice life? Stop taking it all personal. It's not personal. It's a little planet spinning in the middle of nowhere. Everything I say says the same thing. A little planet spinning in the middle of nowhere. You're going to take it personal. The fact that it's raining, or the fact that somebody yelled at you, or anything. It's just everything's happening because of everything that ever happened, and you just happen to be standing in front of that moment. In most cases, if they're not yelling at you, they yell at the next person. They needed to yell. A person who's whole and complete within themselves doesn't need to yell. They don't have that stuff inside that needs to be released because you didn't do what I wanted you to do, so I'm going to yell at you. If they're filled with love and bliss and total well-being, they ain't yelling. If they're filled with garbage and suppression and all kinds of stuff that needs to release, they're yelling. At you or at anybody, it doesn't matter. Imagine if you could live like that. Every moment of your life would be exciting. Imagine that moment that's in front of you took 13.8 billion years to get there. I build that in the new book, right from the beginning. Start with nothing. Build the whole universe, where all the stars came from, everything. And I was afraid. I put the book out and people said, well, what's spiritual about that? Everything, right? It took 13.8 billion years for everything to happen exactly the way it did, for the moment in front of you to be the way it is. If anything was different, grandmother didn't meet your grandfather. It didn't rain one day, so this happened and that happened, and everything changed. That's what it means to be spiritual. You wake up and you start looking at that moment in front of you and go, wow, how is it even there? Look what it took to get there. And it's on a tiny little planet in the middle of nowhere. If 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun, how big is the moment in front of you? And you're going to freak yourself out. Okay, I understand. You do freak yourself out. Why? Because you're not okay. If your stomach's sick and you're not digesting food well, you're going to throw up everything you eat. If you're not well inside, everything's going to bother you. Fair enough? Now the question becomes, can you be well inside? Yes. Can everybody be well inside? Yes. Yes. Everyone. How do you be well inside? First you find out why you're not well. Not what to do about it. How to compensate for it. Why is it this way inside of me? It wouldn't take you 5 minutes to look and actually watch to see. Well, let's get a clue. Okay? Let's not get all complicated with psychology. Let's just take it real simple. You're walking down the plaza or somewhere, and you see a friend of yours, Sue. You call out, "Hey, Sue!" And Sue keeps walking. How you doing? Be honest. Not so well. Okay. So what just happened? There's 8 billion people on the planet Earth right now. One didn't say hello. And you're freaking out. Who's doing that? You're doing that. Now, what do you mean I'm doing that? An event came in through your senses. All events come in through your senses. The trees passed by, the white lines passed by, all the other people walked right by. So an event came in, and you in there couldn't handle it. How's that? Right? Person next to you didn't have a problem with it. Yesterday, before you knew Sue, you didn't have a problem with it. So you're doing it. You couldn't handle an event that took place. What did you do with it? You resisted it. What does that mean? You have hands in there. You can push things away, can't you? You can cling to things that you liked. Keep remembering them and push away things you don't want. Yes or no? Okay? That's what makes a mess. If you're going to store inside of you everything that ever bothered you, you're going to be bothered. If every single thing that you can't handle, you don't like, you push away so it stays in. Does it stay in there when you push it away? Next time you see Sue, you can be sensitive? But it happened 3 days ago. Doesn't matter. You kept it. The event passed 3 days ago, but it didn't pass through you, did it? Why? Because you stopped it. You're the only one in there. There's no one else in there. It's a single occupancy apartment. So you're in there and you stopped it from passing through. In the name of not experiencing it, you kept it. Because you didn't want to fully experience it. I don't want this to get close to me, right? I don't like it. So you push it away. Therefore it stays. You've done that your whole life with everything. And look what a mess it is. And I'm telling you, if you store everything that ever bothered you inside of you, you're going to be bothered. And so now you go out and try to compensate for it. You go out and tell people, Sue's not very nice. I mean, I called out to her, she just ignore me. There you are. They're trying to get other people to be on your side and do this and do that so you can feel better because you couldn't handle what happened. Right. And ask Freud whether that started very young. Ask Freud whether your mother had a major effect on that. Right? All of psychology is built on the fact that you do that. First of all, do you see what I'm saying is true? It's stuff, anybody had stuff that bothered them in the past that they notice is still in there? They're sensitive about. Yes or no? Of course you have. Of course you do. You dream about it. Ever have dreams about things that happened in the past? Okay? That's just the mind trying to throw this stuff out because it doesn't want the stuff in there. So basically, once you've done that, now you compensate your life accordingly. You have to make sure that stuff doesn't hit it. The spiritual path says, no, that's not what I want to do. What do I want to do? I want it out. If that's what caused the problem, then getting rid of it is the solution. It's very straightforward. You do not want that stuff in there. What do you want? I want that I called out to Sue, hey, Sue, how you doing? She walked by, and mine said, no, she didn't say hello. And that was the end of it. I handled it. It came in and it passed through, just like the trees and the breeze and everybody else passed through. She passed through. Next time I saw Sue, nothing. I didn't even ask her why she didn't say hello. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't need an explanation. Woo! I would like to be friends with someone like that. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Okay? This is what it means to clean yourself. And long story short, that's how to do it. You don't go and take the big stuff. I really like how the teaching have evolved over the years, right? There's big stuff in there, isn't there? Stuff you can't handle. People write me, I'm fine until I see my parents. I just can't handle my family. I try as hard as I can. I breathe. I do everything. But the moment I walk in that house, bam, it just all goes bananas. Okay? So I can't deal with that. What advice are you going to give that person? Don't see your family? No, I'm going to do that. Okay? Handle it? Well, they can't. That's not the answer. The answer is to sit there and say, can you practice handling little things that are bothering you? Smaller, much smaller. Like the fact that it's raining and the fact the car in front of you is driving slower than you want, or somebody didn't use their blinkers, or whatever it is. There's little things that happen every day of your life that cause little problems, not big ones, little tiny little things. It gets a little weird in there, doesn't it? Those are the ones I want. And I'm telling you, it's enough. All right? But learn how to handle the little tiny little things that disturb you and you push away. Don't push them away. And what you'll find is, because you can do the little things, you can do something bigger. I liken it to learning an instrument. If you can't play the piano, don't try Mozart. Try the scales. Practice. Practice works, doesn't it? Does practice work? Why don't you practice this? No one told you to. It was like, it's just the way I am. I can't handle people who drive like that. Like what? The way I don't like. I want them to drive the way I want, okay? But you can handle that. How? By learning. By learning to. You learn to, just like you play the scales, just like you practice a sport. Practice this. Practice being okay. Not with the giant things. You can't do it with those. Practice with the everyday little things that come in. It happens all the time. The phone rings. The phone rings at 10 at night. Who could that be? Come on. probably a spam call. You don't need to have a heart attack. You can sit there and say, right then, right there, maybe that one's too big. All right, anyways, sit there right then, right there, and say, I can handle the phone is ringing. I can handle it. And so just relax. Now let's talk about how you practice this. My experience is you relax. What does that mean? You know what it means. You know what relaxation is? The opposite of resistance. You know what resistance looks like, don't you? Push it away. Don't push it away. Don't push it away. Well, if I don't push it away, it's going to come in closer. Handle it. Handle it with little things. Let them come in closer. Okay. Just practice. Practice letting go. Practice relaxing. Practice releasing. And what's going to happen is you're going to get better at it. Just like you get better at sports. Just like you get better at anything. Anything you practice, you're going to do better. Practice this. And you're going to find out, okay, that my tolerance level got bigger. Not because I got strong enough to push it away. This is Judo, not aggressive fighting. This is if you relax, everything passes through you. Judo says if a 400-pound person comes at you and you weigh 76, don't run, they'll get you. Stand there, and when they hit you, bend, and they'll fall over. And that's the essence of Judo, all right? Use their power in your favor. There's another saying in the Eastern teachings. A hurricane can blow down an oak tree, but it can't blow away a blade of grass. Why? The grass bends. The oak tree can't. Exact same teaching. It's not about how strong you are. No. It's about your willingness to bend, your willingness to let go. And that basically if you let go, it will come up. Yes, it's going to feel stronger because it came closer to you, but it will pass through you. And you'll learn to be comfortable with that. And when you learn to be comfortable with that, then you're comfortable with everything that feels that way. And so all of a sudden you're comfortable with a lot of things. And eventually you get comfortable with everything. Oh my God. Do we have any examples of anyone that was comfortable with everything? Yeah, Christ. That's a good example. He was comfortable with everything, wasn't he? He sat there and said, for a moment, he's my hero, a nice Jewish yogi. Christ, my hero. Why? And he said, may I pass this cup? He was psychic. He saw everything that's going to happen to him. And then he said, what? No, I don't want to do that. Not my will, but thy will. In other words, I'm going to let go. I'm going to let go. And he did. Christ went through the whole ordeal and let go and let go and let go. And this showed the greatness that a being could be. Forgive them, Lord, they don't know what they do. Wow. Right? Who else did that? Gandhi. You know that Gandhi was shot while he was giving a political speech. And he turned toward the person who shot him. And his last act was to pranam in forgiveness. Imagine being that conscious that you could handle that. We've had great beings who set amazing examples for us to show us what we're capable of. But you're not capable of it now. Just like you're not capable of playing Mozart. But if you practice, you're going to get better. And that's what you practice. You practice letting go. You practice letting go. Right? And then I always feel an obligation to tell you what will happen. One, as you let go, not only is the reward that you don't have to deal with all that garbage that you were making yourself deal with, but you're going to find out there's this energy inside that can flow up. Instead of drawing you down, it flows up. Well, he said, I've never felt that. You have so. Ever felt love? How do you like feeling love? A real love. You know, where it's just all of a sudden everything's open. Anybody ever felt that? Okay? Everything's open and all of a sudden there's all this beautiful energy rushing up inside of you. That's in there all the time. You don't need anybody. It's got nothing to do with anything. That's inside of you all the time. And what happens is as you let go of the garbage you've been collecting inside yourself, more and more, just naturally, you spontaneously start, because you're more open, you're more receptive, and you start feeling this love. And so people think that's a nice spiritual state. That ain't nothing. You didn't even put the toe in the water yet of what a spiritual state is about. What do you mean? That energy coming up inside of you is so beautiful. It's everything you ever wanted. You wanted love. You wanted enthusiasm. You wanted passion. Yes or no? You wanted inspiration, right? Well, there it is. There it's happening. That's who you are. You're a being of great energy, of great light, but you're busy blocking it with all this garbage you store inside. So it starts to flow now. And eventually you're going to catch on and say, every time I get involved with my garbage, your ego, right, and judging and not liking and preferences and all that junk, it's less energy that I feel inside. But since the whole purpose, why do you want people to like you? Because it makes you feel good. Well, what if you already feel good? What if you feel so good that whether they like you or not makes no difference? And so you start feeling all this unconditional well-being inside, and it starts to intoxicate you. You start to realize this is what it was all about, everything I ever did. And so your consciousness becomes completely involved in that flow of energy instead of trying to make the outside world be a certain way. But people say to me, but then why do I get up in the morning? Why do I go to work? To express the beauty you feel inside yourself. Not to try and make something happen so I can feel beauty. I want to express the beauty. I want to express the inspiration. It's not even a want. It'll do it. Don't worry. When you fall in love, how strong is the drive to see the person who you love? You better think about it, make it happen. You have to make it happen. That's how hard it is to go to work. That's how hard it is to get up in the morning. It's how hard it is to brush your teeth. It's how hard it is to do anything. You feel drive and inspiration and passion about every single thing you do. Then what happens? You become completely intoxicated with this flow of energy until it lifts up so strong that it starts to take you away from yourself. Love can do that, can't it? Ever melt? Just completely melt. You're not even there. Oh, I hope you've had that experience at least once. It's just so strong that you just melt away. You go bye-bye. Can you go bye-bye? Answer me. Can you go bye-bye? Okay. It's rare, though, isn't it? Why? Because you're protecting yourself. I'm not going to open that much. What if he hurts me? What if he says something I don't like? I don't know. I've only known him for 6 years. How do I know who he is? What he's going to do, right? And remember that time he hurt me? It could happen again. That's what you do. You're not willing to let go. Well, this energy gets so strong that it pulls you up that you have no choice. It starts pulling you up into it. That's called the ascent. So it comes up and it lifts you up, and eventually you'll find that you can live in this world with that going on inside of you. You can have a family. Well, why would you have a family? Because that's kind of what happens when you're together and you love somebody and you interact, right? Well, what books do I need to read to find out how to bring up my child? You are filled with love. You're filled with giving. You're filled with passion. Give it to the child. You won't be able to not. Express it. Help. It's natural. It's natural. It's a natural thing, right? And work is also. Go to work and be the most passionate employee at any job that's ever given to you. And if you get criticized, be grateful that you were criticized so you can do it better next time. Oh my God, you'll be the president in no time. You just naturally evolve up to it. And so everything you do is natural, but inside you're not doing anything. You're just being. You're just enjoying the beauty of the Shakti that's flowing inside of you. And then eventually it pulls up so strong. I always stop my talks this way. Just I want you to know, someone's got to tell you. It gets so strong that it's scary. People write me, I've had this experience and it lifted up. I get scared. I pulled it back down. Of course you did. Why? Because it's calling upon you to die to be reborn. To let go of your separateness. To let go of the concept that I'm me feeling this energy. The energy is trying to merge, trying to pull me into it so there's no separation. You've read the great teaching, when subject and object become one. That's what it's talking about. Non-duality. You're not separate. You're the subject. You're experiencing whatever you're experiencing, including the Shakti. Eventually it becomes so strong that you can't separate yourself from it. You can't bear to not be that close to it. Your inner being can merge with the universe. It can merge with God. But you have to be willing to let go of yourself. That's what Christ meant by die to be reborn. Well, that's why we have pictures on the wall of great masters that went into those states. And Christ certainly is one of them. He said so. My Father and I are one. So this is the spiritual path. It started by saying there's two lives you can live. The life that tries to compensate for the fact you're not okay, or the life that says, I'm going to learn to be okay. I'm going to let go of what's causing me to not be okay. That's how I want to say it. I'm going to let go of this garbage I'm storing inside and take the ascent, the whole path, all the way up. And that's the meaning of my life. Jagged.